Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Back on with Ariel Bantam. We're going to make some progress and get the engine, well, not quite into the frame, but certainly make some progress towards getting the engine into the frame. We have to figure out the chain line, we have to do some work to the barrels so that they'll clear the front down tube, and we have to have a bit of a think about how we're going to mount it into the frame eventually when the time comes. So let's get on and do some work. (2BA) or not 2BA? That is the question. Just in case you were wondering on the size of the socket for these things. Now I'm going to go around with my what remains of my copper drift and just give them a good thwack. Just to help them. Could do with a piece of wood under there really. I'll just grab one. I'm conscious of the fact that I probably keep getting in the way of the camera. I apologise for that. Let's get a piece of wood. Preparation is the key, apparently. Let's just put that under there. Like that. Right, what are you seeing? Yeah, you can see that, can't you? Good. Right, so just give these a bit of "How's your father?" Right, I think we've gone all the way around. Probably did one of them twice. I've just got a little quarter drive job on this at the moment. See what they feel like. They feel like they're going to snap. So, time to get the gas out. Give them a bit of a heat up. Right, just going to give each one in turn a bit of heat. I've got my face shield on. If the sound sounds a bit funny, because having a face is not an overrated activity as far as I'm concerned. So just give it a bit of a gentle heat up. See how we get on. This could take some time. I'm keeping an eye out, obviously, because this is a crusty old wheel, for bits of, debris and detritus dropping out on fire, setting the whole place ablaze. It would be less than desirable. So I think this is going to be one of these activities that we just have to take our time and just go steady, really. Let's do that little fry. That's a win, isn't it? Not going to pick that up with my fingers. That would be a really stupid thing to do. Yeah, I'm just going to keep turning the wheel and doing each one in turn in that location, because it's a really handy place for me to stand with the torch, and just work my way around, and I'll bring you back when we're a little bit closer to victory. Well, I'm back. You're thinking, where's he been? It's been overnight, so I've slept since the last clip, but you won't know that because, you know, the magic of electronics, it's only been a second or two. Right, got all the bolts out. They all came out perfectly well. The clay short, the old hotkey, works every time as long as you're patient. You should have a good result and not break out the casting. Now, removing the sprocket can be just as fraught as taking out the bolts, because they tend to rust. The steel sprocket will rust to the cast iron carrier, and if you just sort of go behind with the drift and hit it, it will sometimes smash the casting. Yet again, another danger to smash the casting and take the casting with it, rather than the rust part company. So wise counsel is just to go around each bolt hole with the pliers and just, like I can see that is tight, just see how tight it is moving. Just see how tight there, and if you've got a tight one, just get in there with the heat again, a bit more penetrating oil, and just take your time. That's going to come off. So there we go. That was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be. So these are, hopefully you can see at that distance, these are the problematic areas, these little bosses that the 2BA screws go into. And what happens is they literally fracture right across the top there, and then the whole top edge of the boss goes with the sprocket, or breaks out with the bolt. And you know, quite a lot of people have repaired them in the past, built them up with braze and then retapped them, and you know, various other means of repair. But it is cast iron, so you know, not the easiest of materials to repair, but brazing probably the best solution, I would think. So there we are. I'm going to give it a bit of a clean up with the wire wheel, and I'll do that off camera because it'll be noisy and messy, and then we'll have a look at fitting our new sprocket. I don't think I've introduced the new sprocket. This is the new sprocket. It's a Talon. Oops, nearly dropped it. Talon sprocket. This is our 530, I think it is, chain. Or is it 528? I can't remember. This is our new sprocket that suits our Ariel front sprocket, heavier than the Bantam one. This is a trial sprocket. I got it from Villiers Services, top chaps. They do my brake shoe relines, and they do a really good job. But so I was talking to the chap on the telephone, and he was telling me that Talon are no more. They've ceased trading. So that's what he was telling me, at least. So yeah, get them while they're hot. He does have a new source of supply for the Bantam Trials type sprockets, so they should be back in stock, but under a different, different manufacturer, I would think. But yeah, there you go. Another one, another long-established name that appears to be headed for the bin. I don't have any more information than that. But anyway, we have our sprocket, so we can get that on there, and that will help us to get the chain line. So I'll stop waffling on, and we'll get on and get it fitted. Right, I've given that a bit of a clean up. The good thing about cast iron is that even when it's grotty and horrible and rusty, good go with a wire wheel, and it's like new again, so that's good news. Here's our sprocket. We're going to fit that. We're going to fit that with just a couple of bolts, which will fit dry. We're not going to put any grease or anything on the threads. I have blasted all the bolt holes out with brake cleaner so they're nice and clean, and I've buffed up a couple of bolts. I'm just going to use 2 because you know, we're not going to run it or anything. We just want the sprocket there so that we can get the drive line. So like I say, giving them a bit of a buff up on the buffing wheel so the threads are nice and clean. I don't want to introduce any more grease because I'll only have to clean it out again when I get the hubs blasted. So yeah, we won't bother with that. And we'll be replacing these bolts on the final iteration. I'm going to use cap heads. I'm going to drill the cap heads for locking wire. I'm going to do a nice single wire aviation style locking wire, just in case if we take it to a hill climb or something and it gets scrutineered, we've got nicely wire locked bolts. I don't think you have to wire lock them, but I think it would be nice if we do. And like I say, there's different styles of locking wire that you can do. In my world, you can do a single wire, you can do a twist type of locking, but there's, you know, different styles for different applications. But you'll see all that when the time comes. Quite a long way down the road. We don't need to get into a locking wire rant just yet, do we? So that's that fitted. We now need to refit the brake back plate, which I'm going to remove the shoes because we don't need the shoes dragging or anything like that. We get rid of them. Just fit the back plate, and all will be tickety-boo. I'll need to give this a clean now before I put it back on. I don't want to put it back in the grotty condition that it's in. This is the speedometer gearbox. I'm not going to reuse this on the final iteration of the build. I'm just going to make a spacer to take its place because we're going to use an electronic speedo. I'm going to blank off the speedometer drive on the Ariel gearbox because that's geared for a 16-inch wheel and not an 18-inch wheel, which is what we're going to be using. I'm sure we could figure it out and get the right speedometer head and make it work, but I think I'm just going to use an electronic speedometer. So I have plans in my head, but you know, it'll all come sort of clear much further on down the build. I don't think we need to be worried about instrumentation just yet. But yeah, I've waffled again. This will not be being used, but I don't want to put it back filthy just for now, so I'll give it a clean. So stand by whilst I do that, and I'll bring you back. We'll stick the brake back plate back on. We'll stick the speedometer gearbox back on. Oh, look at that. The bearings started to walk out of the housing. So that needs pushing back in again. But we can do all that. Give it all a good wipe. And go from there. Righty-ho. Given all this a wipe. I haven't gone bananas, just got the thick of the filth off of it so that it's, you know, handleable, shall we say. Is that a word? I don't know, it is now. Remove the brake shoes, gave that a free off because it was seized. Obviously it all needed a really good proper clean up and refinishing eventually, but not just yet. We just want to make it easy to put together. So put a little shim in there. We will put the brake back plate on. Just loosely wind the nut down. Okay, and so we're not going to go raving mad because there's no need to. We just want to be able to assemble it and fit it to the bike. I knocked that bearing back because it was sticking out, and just give it all a bit of a wipe. We've got the spacer for the speedometer gearbox. There is a washer, and then there is the gearbox itself. So I'll get this lined up. Get the there we go, that's dropped in, and then there's a washer and a nut. if you hear any pops and bangs, there's a shoot going on the farm, so you might hear some of that. Use our knuckle breakers to just nip these one against the other. Don't need to be tight, just enough to stop it from coming apart for the time being at least. There we go, that'll do us. That should turn freely, which it does. And we've got our sprocket fitted, so we can get that back in the bike now and resume operations to get the chain line and work out where the engine's going to go. So we'll be using the piece of aluminium channel that I bought specifically for this purpose, to line up the chain line, the engine's gearbox sprocket rather, and the rear wheel sprocket. And hopefully it will work. One of the people that I'm in contact with, and I think he's a viewer, Ian, who is also doing a Ariel Bantam project. He's using a D3, I think, a D3 frame, and he found that he had to widen his rear hub in order to get his chain line. So I'm hoping that on the D7 frame, the swinging arm frame, well, his is a swinging arm frame as well, but I'm hoping that on the D7 frame with the wider swinging arm we get away with it, but we might not, you know, we might have to widen our hub as well, which will be a little bit of extra work that I could have done without, but there you go, that's just how it works sometimes. There's the old brake shoes, a little bit crusty, but they would blast up, and our friends at Villiers would be able to reline those, and it is worth doing. My D7 stops on a tanner, really is, you know, the brakes are really good on it. Despite what everybody says about Bantam brakes, it really does stop well, and I put that down to the linings that they fit at Villiers. So yeah, I'll probably keep hold of those, although I've got some old brake shoes in the shed that are in much better condition, but they would blast up without doubt, and they've been relined before by the look of things, because they've got rivet holes in them. These look like original shoes. They've got rivet holes and they've had bonded linings, which have obviously, you know, it's been laid up since the early 1980s. It's disbonded, but they would go again with a good clean and the right know-how. Well, you join me at the vice, chopping the fins off. What are you doing, you madman? Stop it, you'll ruin it. Sorry, but it must be done. This is how we get the thing to fit in the frame. And of course, I've taped a piece of sheet, quite thickish, offcut of sheet metal over the mounting face, the gasket face, because if I slip with a hacksaw, it could be curtains for the barrel. And this barrel is actually not the best barrel in the world. There's a bit of damage inside, just at the lip where it, the bottom end of the bore itself. Someone's had a bit of a catastrophe with something. I don't know quite what, but there's a bit of a dent in there. So we might need a new barrel anyway. But the thing is, we need to chop these fins off in order to get the engine in the frame. So it doesn't matter if the barrel's damaged, because we can just get another one and chop the fins off that. But just to get the thing to sit in the frame properly, the way we want it to, it needs to have a bit of a haircut. So let me move you a bit so that you can watch me butchering this thing without my arm getting in the way. And you might be tempted to think, well, why is he not just using a whizzy wheel or a grinder or something? But again, I think the potential for calamity is quite high, so I think the control afforded by the hacksaw is, you know, patience will pay dividends. So I'm going to do it like this. I don't know what I'm going to do down here because the fins extend, sort of they come out and sort of blend in with the gasket face. So I think we'll just have to go in a bit and then make the cut. But, we'll figure it out. And the worry is, of course, well, you're removing, excuse me, I kick the camera, you're removing part of the surface that it needs to cool itself, but that's just part and parcel of doing this conversion, unfortunately. Plenty of people have done it in the past and they seem to get away with it, so I think it'll be fine. We're not losing that much surface area, really. So yeah, I think it'll be alright. And well, we don't have much option, really. This is, if you want the engine to sit in the frame and look right, this is what you have to do. So basically the down tube will pass between the two cylinders. So yeah, this is what we're doing. So I'm going to carry on with it, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to have a bit of a try, see what it goes like in the frame. Well, as you can see from this shot, we are getting there. The engine is now sitting with one barrel either side of the frame rails, but it's still touching, so I need to take some more material off. We'll go over to the bench in a minute. I'll pull the barrels off and we'll go over to the bench and I'll show you what I've been doing to them. The heads are going to need some work, because, you know, obviously with all the wheel in the world that's not going to fit in there, so we're going to have to do some work in this area. So aerial, arrow and leader purists, yeah, probably best not, yeah, maybe go and lie down in a dark room somewhere, because there is quite a substantial amount of modification that needs to be done. The engine is quite far forward at the moment, so if I just try and pull it back a little bit, you can see that the lug at the rear and the original Bantam mounting lug kind of gets in the way. But I was hoping to reuse that because just to try and do things a little bit differently. What I might have to do is give it a bit of a haircut and just take it down a bit so that I can get the engine just a, you know, a few more fractions rearward. It may have to go all together, I don't know, but I'm hoping that not. I'm hoping to use engine plates. You probably can't see what I'm pointing at because you're looking at the barrels. Let me move you. Let me move you so that you can get a good view. The good news is that we can get the chain line with the wheel in its standard configuration, so that's good. Let me just move the camera. Will it move? Is there enough room to get the tripod in? They're alright, these tripods, but they now take up some room. Right, not sure if you can see at that angle, but you can see that I've blued this up because I've scalloped the chain case slightly, and that's what the other guys have been doing. Dave and Peter have both scalloped their chain cases just to accommodate the subframes. So I have been able to get the chain line with the piece of aluminium. Can I lean in and show you that? You're hideously in the way, unfortunately, but that's just the nature of the beast when you're filming. It is possible, it is feasible. I mean, the engine's not in the ideal position, it's a little bit on the wonk at the moment, but you get the idea. It's not a million miles. We can jiggle it around and we can get the chain line, so that's a win. Don't have to do anything crazy with the wheel, changing the offsets, anything like that. So yeah, that's good. However, getting this engine in, there's a bit more work to do. A bit more work to do. So if I just try and give you a bit of a general view like that, if I go and just grab the engine and just jiggle it around a bit, you can see what we're up against. So we're touching here at the top, the upper sort of pair of fins. We're touching the frame. Oops, it's a bit, there we go, it gets a bit wedged in. But if we sit about there, if we take a bit more off, try and get it a little bit lower at the front, and we sit about there, take a little bit off that frame lug, we might still get away with using engine plates and having the engine sort of level in the frame. Not sure yet, maybe not. But if I take a bit off of this lug, which you can't see but I'm pointing at, we won't know. So let's go over to the bench anyway and have a look at the work so far on the barrels. Right, so here are our two barrels, and you can see that there's quite a lot of work so far gone into them. And I did renege slightly on my technique. I said I wasn't going to use the whizzy wheel, but I actually found the saw was fine the first couple of fins, but then I was running into clearance issues. I didn't want to hit anything or saw into anything that, you know, sorry, inadvertently. So yeah, I used the cut-off wheel, and what I did was I cut almost all the way through, and then with the aid of Grandad's pliers, which always saved the day, never let me down and never will, I just broke it off, just snapped it. So cut it sort of, you know, 90% of the way, and then just broke it off, and it left me with a very clean, slightly burred but very clean brake edge, which I then just filed back. And I have been using the Dynafile finger sander, whatever you want to call it. I've been using that to good effect to just shape everything, and bring everything largely symmetrical and largely even, although there is going to be some finessing work to do obviously at the end, but we just need to get it to fit at the moment. Perfect is sometimes the enemy of done, and we need done at the moment. And then once we've got done, we will go back in and clean everything up and make it look the same. But yeah, did I show you the damage to oh, there's the vice jaws gone again, they're useless honestly. One of the barrels, right at the very bottom, there's a mark, I don't know if you can see that, just there, and a scratch, a score. I'm not entirely sure if that's actually a crack, but what we'll do is we'll do a bit of NDT and see if it is a crack. We'll probably do that next time around, I think. But I don't think it is. I think it is just a score. I think someone's been levering against it, I think. I'm not entirely sure how they've managed to do that. It looks like a screwdriver mark or something. And then they've obviously tried to blend it with a mini grinder or something. Badly. But yeah. I think the scratch will come out with a rebore, but obviously these gouges won't. But I think if we blend those back a little bit better than the previous incumbent did, they won't really affect the piston travel. We'll see. We'll have to see. We'll have to make sure that they don't, you know, they're not part of the swept volume. Because if they are, we might be looking for another barrel. But at least we know how to do this now, or at least we're getting there. A bit more work to do. You can see my pink paint pen marks. It's the only colour I've got, but it's now show up. Edding pen, very useful in the workshop. So that's as far as we've got. It's a step forward, but as ever, out of time. So I'm going to call it there, I think, for this one. Right, that is it for this one. A bit of a bitzer, I grant you, but it's just what I've had time to do over the last week or two, and we've definitely made some progress roughing out these barrels. What I think I will do as a finishing touch is to fixture them up on an angle plate in the milling machine and finish off all the straight edges to a uniform level in the milling machine, so that aesthetically, if you're looking down the line of the bike, you know, if you're lying down on the floor looking at the line of the fins, they should all be the same. And then I will blend in all the radii. These radii here will need some more work, but I think that's what I'll do, I'll go to the trouble of doing that just as a finishing touch. But yeah, it needs a bit more work, doesn't it? Not quite there yet. With the engine mounting, I'm still kind of invested to some degree in the rear mounting, the original rear mounting on the Bantam. I'd like to use that if I can, even if I have to slim it down a little bit to make it work. It may not work and I may have to abandon it, but I'm still, not ready to let it go just yet. I'd like to see a set of aluminium engine plates kind of coming up in a reverse, almost like a reverse of what the Bantam one. The Bantam one's kind of curled forward. I'd like to see something coming up and then pointing backwards, curving backwards to meet the engine. But we can only do what is in the art of the possible, and it may be that we can't do that, but I'd still like to give it a go. There's another two guys that I'm in touch with, one called Peter and one called Paul, just like the song, and they're building aerial bantams as well, and they're well ahead of me with their progress, and they've been sending me images of their work, and yeah, they look fantastic. What they've done, both of them, Peter's using a D3 frame, or a D5, no, a D3 I think, so he hasn't had to remove his rear engine mount, but because he's been able to get his engine firing it back. Paul is using a D7 like mine, I think, or certainly a late swinging arm frame, D7, D10, D14, all pretty much the same. But they both put a cross tube bisecting the seat tube. So there's a cross tube going through with the engine, the rear engine mount fitted to that, and they've done, like I say, a superb job of it. They really look good, and that might be the way that I follow. I might end up following in their footsteps and doing that as well. But I would like to see if I can do it through the other method before I do that. The front mount, as you probably noticed, has been removed at the moment for access, because I just couldn't tilt the engine in properly with that there. But I'd like to reuse that as well if I can. I'd like to put that back in some guise. It may be modified, it may be messed around with, but I think there'll be the clearance for it to go back in there. And I've got an idea what I'd like to do with that, but yeah, again, it's still in the thinking process at the moment. There's another guy who's quite prolific for building these things. He built the, I don't know if you've seen it, the 4-cylinder Ariel Bantam using RG500 Suzuki top end barrels and heads. He did one with, he used the Bantam front mount, and he actually made a dummy front mount that went onto the front of the engine, onto the front of the Ariel engine. He must have milled the finning off, I'm not sure. But I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to do hopefully something at the front. We'll see. It's all talk at the moment, but you know it is. It's in the brain, and you've just got to try and get it out of there and realise it. But anyway, we've made some progress. That was a rather long-winded goodbye, wasn't it? And that's where we are at the moment. On the next video, hopefully, we will do a bit more on the barrels. Maybe we'll have them done, and hopefully we'll do a bit more on the mounting of the engine and make some progress. I don't feel as though I've made a great deal of progress over the past 2-3 weeks, but that's just the nature of it sometimes. You can only do what you can do with the time available. Mind how you go. Thanks for subscribing, everyone. Those of you who've been with me for a while, thanks for sticking with me. Those of you who've come along more recently, you're very welcome. We've gone over 1,800 now, so that is fantastic. Would still like to hit that 2,000 mark. I think we're going to get there. Possibly not before Christmas, but I think we are going to get there fairly soon. So thanks very much indeed. If you are one of the many viewers that aren't subscribed, please do hit the button, ring the bell. We won't cost you a shilling, and hopefully you will get some enjoyment out of what we do. So I will see you on the next video. I will be doing a Merry Christmas, like I usually do each year, a Merry Christmas message to you all before the big day, but whether or not I'll get another engineering video before Christmas, I don't know. There's lots to do, isn't there, Christmas time. So yeah, see you on the next one. Bye for now.